Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and welcome to another detailed forecast update for November 10th, 2024. Today we're going to be talking about severe thunderstorms and their potential across southeastern Queensland and into the northeast of New South Wales over the next 14 days. We'll give a tropical weather update as well and talk about what's expected up in the north. We'll also touch on that heatwave that's still extending through parts of Queensland and is expected to bring some very warm temperatures to parts of the Northern Territory and WA as well. All of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The support lately has been much appreciated. But starting things off as usual over in the southeast of Queensland, where we do have an outbreak of potentially severe thunderstorms expected over the next 10 days starting from tonight. So we're going to talk about what we're expecting tonight in great detail and then just outline what we're expecting over the next couple of days in the forecast later on in this update. So let's take a look at what we are expecting. Well, currently the eastern weather forecast is suggesting an outbreak and a blow up of thunderstorms at around about 1 or 2 p.m. local time on the Sunshine Coast, north of Redcliffe in Brisbane's northern suburbs up towards Maroochydore and Noosa on the Sunshine Coast, with thunderstorms expected to extend inland out towards Crow's Nest and Kingaroy. The thunderstorms this afternoon, at least along the Sunshine Coast, will be pretty hit and miss, but we are expecting a couple of cells to fire up, and like I said, they could potentially go severe with damaging winds, heavy rainfall and large hailstones. I think the risk of large to giant hailstones tonight is going to be on the minimal end. I don't really expect a thunderstorm to blow through with some really big hailstones, so small hailstones do look most likely at this time. However, again, we can't be writing out the larger hailstones, just considering how much instability there is in the air. And then south of Warwick, Toowoomba and Stanthorpe, we will see another outbreak of thunderstorms here over the border into the northeast of New South Wales. That little outbreak there will likely be slightly stronger. These thunderstorms do become quite strong at around about 4 or 5 p.m. local time as they move further north up towards Toowoomba, before upscaling into what will likely be just a bit of a rain-making and slow-moving squall line moving further north up towards Kingaroy and then Gympie later on in the night. In terms of impacts from that squall line, it just looks like heavy rainfall and maybe a few damaging wind gusts, but at this time we're not really expecting all-out powerful severe thunderstorms. There certainly will be the odd severe thunderstorm here and there later on tonight into the afternoon hours and then into the evening hours. However, again, they're not going to be too extreme, definitely not too powerful, that's for sure. Now, one thing that I would like to say that kind of prevents me from saying that this is a big thunderstorm outbreak that we are expecting is all of this cloud cover that's currently streaming through parts of New South Wales and then into the southeast of Queensland. Now, this cloud cover here is, as you can see on the temperature map, it's keeping things cooler. Moree currently with a top of 26 degrees, and then down towards Armidale and then outside of Glen Innes, temperatures, I mean, this is a mountainous area, but still temperatures are quite low. Now, what that means is that this cloud cover is preventing the ground from heating up, and as such, evaporation is going to be kept to a minimum across some of these areas. This is the exact same thing that happened last Friday. We were calling for a significant severe thunderstorm outbreak, but cloud cover and haze over the Brisbane metro area completely prevented thunderstorms from firing up. So there is a chance that this cloud cover here, if it does get itself further across into the southeast of Queensland, completely prevents and shatters the chances of a thunderstorm outbreak later on tonight. So I'd like to keep that in the back of your head. It certainly does look like we've got a potent setup in terms of the temperature forecast and also the amount of convective available potential energy for some of these thunderstorms, but at this time the cloud cover might just come through and inhibit things later on this afternoon and evening. It's a hard forecast to sell at this time. I reckon up in the Sunshine Coast, thunderstorms will go ahead as usual, and then further inland out towards Injune and Roma, a few thunderstorms will also form out there as usual, but at this time for the immediate corners of southeastern Queensland and especially over the border into New South Wales, I think thunderstorms tonight are going to be a very hard sell. It's going to be a very difficult environment for them to fire up just with this cloud cover here, and if these storms don't get themselves going in the next couple of hours, then they're really going to struggle as this cloud cover makes itself or makes its presence felt. Tomorrow afternoon, however, unlikely to disappoint, especially in the northeast of New South Wales out towards Lightning Ridge and Moree. Very unlikely to miss out on severe thunderstorms tomorrow night. We're expecting some strong ones, and this leads me on into the next part of the video, which is where we're going to be talking about these outbreaks over the next couple of days. So outside of Moree and then out towards Inverell in the northeast of New South Wales, powerful severe thunderstorms are expected to materialise from around 2 or 3 p.m. A widespread expanse of pulse thunderstorms also expected out towards St George and Thallin into the south central parts of Queensland, and then up towards Injune, Roma and Rolleston as well. We'll see some pulse thunderstorms which could potentially go severe later on the afternoon and the evening. Now, severe thunderstorms likely to bring damaging winds, heavy to locally intense rainfall and large hailstones are expected in in this general area in the south central and southeastern parts of Queensland, and then into the northeastern parts of New South Wales. Like I said, outside of Inverell and Armidale look to be the hotspots tomorrow afternoon and evening. It's a very favourable setup for some of these thunderstorms here, powered by a low pressure trough that's going to be extending down through central parts of Queensland and into the northeast of New South Wales, channeling a lot of air from the Coral Sea inland, which is going to provide with that warm, moist air and that humidity, and then plenty of convective available potential energy as well. I mean, I haven't seen such a wide expanse of high numbers for quite some time across parts of Queensland. So with this heat, the humidity, the favourable winds, favourable convective available potential energy values, we are expecting a pretty beefy severe thunderstorm outbreak to occur tomorrow afternoon and evening, and certainly something that we're going to be talking about in great detail in tomorrow morning's forecast update. Any questions or comments on it, please do leave them in the comment section down below. Tuesday is going to be a similar story as well. Once these thunderstorms late Monday night into early Tuesday morning head closer to the coastline, impacting areas around Brisbane and the Gold Coast with showers and storms very late Monday night into early Tuesday morning, we will see another outbreak of severe thunderstorms fire up, this time outside of Roma and Chinchilla in the Queensland side of things, beginning from around 4 p.m. local time. These thunderstorms here likely to get quite strong right out of the gate under the influence of some very warm temperatures once again across the south central parts of Queensland, and thunderstorms on Tuesday night also expected to extend into the Brisbane area. However, they will be pretty hit and miss. Thunderstorms extending up towards Tambo, Rolleston, and even as far north as about Emerald on Tuesday afternoon, before they upscale into a squall line later on in the night and bring rainfall to areas around Taroom, Kingaroy, and Edersvoort, which is some much needed rainfall, but again, it does look like it is going to come from the form of thunderstorms, keeping people awake on Tuesday night, and it's probably going to be pretty hit and miss as well. So not the nice, powerful, severe thunderstorm outbreak that a lot of people are hoping for, more so just the annoying couple of drops of rainfall here and a couple of bolts of lightning here and there. The thunderstorms are likely to disappoint later on Tuesday night as you get closer to the central Queensland coastline. Again, unlikely to disappoint is going to be Wednesday night, especially into the southeastern corner of Queensland around the Coomera, the Gold Coast and Brisbane. Thunderstorms expected over a huge expanse of southeastern and into south central Queensland as well. I mean, this map speaks for itself. I couldn't even begin to list all of the locations that are expected to be forecast for impacts on Wednesday, otherwise this video will extend out to an hour long, but powered by two low pressure systems. One of them is going to be sitting into the north central parts of New South Wales over about Lightning Ridge, which is where some severe thunderstorms are expected outside of St George, Thallon, and then down towards Moree and Narrabri into the northeast of New South Wales. Some good severe storms expected there around this low pressure system. Also connected to another low pressure system up around Longreach and Hughenden in the northern parts of Queensland, and that's going to be powering an outbreak of severe thunderstorms right along the coast or extending out to the coastline over this huge expanse of Queensland and then into the northeast of New South Wales. Storms also expected into the far north coast of New South Wales around Grafton, Lismore, Ebor and Yamba. Some good rainfall also expected out there, which we'll touch on in just a few moments. But yeah, the rainfall really going to pile on up into the northeast of New South Wales. Showers and storms also extending down the New South Wales coastline outside of the Barrington Tops and Newcastle. Showers and storms also expected into the western suburbs of Sydney on Wednesday night, and showers and storms extending inland out towards Dubbo, Parkes, Young, Wagga Wagga, those areas into the central parts of New South Wales. Much needed rainfall for them. However, for the most part, I think the rainfall is going to be very hit and miss, with an emphasis on the miss. Some locations will pick up a good 20 to 25 millimeters, but for the most part, a lot of places are going to be left disappointed and high and dry. Thunderstorms, you guessed it, continuing through Thursday. There will be a lot fewer and further between across parts of Queensland on Thursday, but still some severe thunderstorms possible south of Roma. Thunderstorms continuing into Friday as well, into more inland parts of Queensland, and then I'm going to leave this weekend and the thunderstorms expected onwards from Saturday and Sunday for another forecast update. I mean, this video will just blow out to a very long length if I talk about every single day of expected thunderstorms. However, like we did talk about yesterday, on Monday and Tuesday, the 18th and 19th of November, respectively, we are looking at another powerful severe thunderstorm outbreak and potentially a rainfall event into the northeast of New South Wales. This is something that I want to be talking about in tomorrow's forecast update. There's just too much again to get through in terms of thunderstorms and rainfall, but the heads up is for Monday and Tuesday next week, some good rainfall expected across parts of Queensland, and this might be the first real shot of some rainfall up into the far north of Queensland as well for this wet season. So again, we will watch this very closely. It's a complicated forecast and it's a very late addition to the forecast as well. I mean, we're talking about this about 10 days out in advance, so we will take a look at this closer to the days of the expected forecast for this. Again, just a heads up that there is some good rainfall that is on the cards. So in terms of said rainfall as well, you can see 10-day rainfall accumulations across parts of Queensland and into New South Wales are going to exceed 150 millimetres. Highest accumulations will be in the northeast of New South Wales, particularly from thunderstorms expected to blow up on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then into the next weekend and into early next fortnight on Monday and Tuesday, the 18th and 19th of November, as we just talked about, with rainfall accumulations expected to exceed 150 or 160 millimetres across some of these locations. Grafton expecting a healthy 100 millimetres, Coffs Harbour a similar amount as well. Inverell expecting about 130 millimetres up towards Stanthorpe, Warwick and Toowoomba at least 100 millimetres apiece. The Gold Coast is also expecting some good rainfall over the next 10 days. Like I said, the majority of that coming from thunderstorms in the next 5 days, particularly Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, with about 70 millimetres coming through there. And then up towards Brisbane as well, a similar amount of rainfall is expected. Now, as you get closer to the coastline, particularly around Brisbane and then into the areas around Coomera and the Scenic Rim, the rainfall is going to be, like I said, very hit and miss. It's going to be quite disappointing for some people. Further inland is where the real totals are going to be, particularly around Toowoomba and Warwick. They're going to be the wettest locations over the next 10 days across much of Queensland, and then even out towards Chinchilla, Roma, Injune, Taroom, Rolleston, Tambo, Charleville, those locations, just to name a few. Some good falls also expected, at least 50 millimetres and potentially up towards 80 millimetres a pop for those locations. Now, this is from thunderstorms, so rainfall will exceed the maximum on particular days. I mean, there will be places picking up 80 millimetres from the right thunderstorms, like I said, particularly on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday from those severe thunderstorm outbreaks that we're expecting across parts of southeastern Queensland and into the northeast of New South Wales. Those locations and those forecasts, they're impossible to make until we see the storms actually exist on radar, so I'm not even going to begin to try. Again, for some locations, rainfall is going to be a big hit over the next couple of days, and then for a lot of locations, it's going to be quite disappointing. So don't get your hopes up, but again, some good falls are expected for quite a lot of locations, which is great news because we're already starting to see drought-like conditions extend into parts of central Queensland. Unfortunately, I don't think the rainfall is going to make it further enough inland to kind of quench the drought that they're currently experiencing, and I don't think it's going to get itself close enough to the coast either, out towards Rockhampton, Bundaberg and Agnes Water, to kind of quench their drought either. It just looks like it's more rainfall for wet locations and hardly any rainfall for the already very dry locations across parts of Queensland. Now, that is a long-winded Queensland and New South Wales forecast segment, and get used to it because it's going to be like that for the next 10 days at least with these thunderstorms that are going to be piling through. Any questions or comments, or if you'd like to see something covered in tomorrow's forecast update, then please do let me know in the comment section down below as well. Again, I've been pretty shoddy with those comments, so I will try and get back on top of them today. Up into the tropics now, in terms of the tropical weather forecast, we do still have that good rainfall for parts of the Northern Territory and WA, really starting to pile on for WA. I'm seeing locations picking up 50 millimetres pretty much every single afternoon and evening from the thunderstorms blowing up there, and good rainfall also extending deeper into WA as well and down into South Australia, which we will get to in just a few moments. Unfortunately, however, at least over the next 7 days, the rainfall looking very disappointing up in Queensland's far north, especially up in the Cape York Peninsula, where you would be expecting some pretty high rainfall accumulations at this time of the year. But later on in the forecast period, their luck might just come through, with a couple of showers expected to begin on Sunday the 17th of November, and then showers and storms being pretty persistent throughout Monday and Tuesday into Queensland's far north. Certainly something I want to keep a close eye on, that's for sure. The GFS not predicting anything crazy either. I mean, we have been watching the GFS forecast quite closely over the last couple of days. They are still calling for that kind of wet start to December and the potential for a tropical low in the Coral Sea. Again, I'm not going to go into detail about that because there is just way too much uncertain to be calling a tropical low about 20 days out in advance, but just the heads up, it looks like Queensland is going to get its rainfall sometime into the very last days of November or into the very first days of December, with the potential for a tropical low to materialise somewhere along the Solomon Sea or into the Coral Sea. That's just my prediction at this time, and it could go completely out the window, but that's what the GFS is saying, and that's what I'm saying. We will wait and see on what is actually expected over the coming couple of days, and I believe I'll be able to give you a definite answer on that by around the 20th of November. Well, that's my hope, at least, to be able to give a definite answer on when the rainfall is going to break up in the far north of Queensland by around the 20th of November. And just to round out things in terms of rainfall, I would like to briefly talk about thunderstorms expected to fire up across parts of South Australia and WA from tonight. We are expecting an outbreak of severe thunderstorms to materialise between a line of Warburton across to Minturpee and Coober Pedy in central parts of South Australia. And these storms here could pack a punch, expecting severe thunderstorms with damaging winds, heavy rainfall and large hailstones impacting a very remote corner of Australia. Again, like we said yesterday, in the area that I'm circling right now with a cursor, which includes Alice Springs, there would be less than about 30 or 40,000 people in this part of Australia, and we're talking about 5 to 10% of Australia's landmass. So it is a huge swathe that these thunderstorms are expected to impact or bring impacts to, but it's also a very underpopulated swathe. If you're a grey nomad or you're travelling through this area as well, I mean, you can already start to see on the radar here outside of Giles some heavy thunderstorms currently materialising with a lot of lightning. Going to be a very entertaining light show as well, that's for sure. I'd recommend getting yourself down towards the coast if you can throughout the course of today, south of Maralinga down towards Ceduna or Streaky Bay. There'd be a great view of some thunderstorms down there later on tonight. Or get yourself north of the South Australia border into the Northern Territory or up into parts of Western Australia. Beautiful spots outside of Alice Springs for camping, and you will stay high and dry, which would be fantastic just to watch these thunderstorms. But yeah, lots of lightning already, and these thunderstorms down here look like they're about to go severe warned outside of Maralinga, north of Ceduna. Certainly some strong storms expected down there later on tonight, something that I'm very excited to watch on the radar. Unfortunately, we have abysmal radar coverage across the desert of Australia, but again, this will be quite interesting to see. And for those of you watching from Alice Springs, I don't think we've ever talked about Alice Springs in a video, so first of all, hello, but we are expecting a couple of storms to blow through that area later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. Could bring a couple of showers up towards 15 millimetres of much needed rainfall out there, just enough to kind of make a few puddles and make those roads slushy and awful to drive on. So yeah, probably more of a bit of a pesky amount of rainfall as opposed to some good rainfall, but again, out in the desert, all rainfall is welcome for those people. And just to round out this very long forecast update, I would like to talk on the temperatures across parts of Queensland. It is another very warm one across central parts of Queensland. Tops already up towards 36, 37 degrees outside of Cloncurry and Mount Isa, and they are going to continue to rise throughout the course of today, with daytime maxima expected to exceed 40 degrees for, I believe, the 8th day in a row across parts of Queensland. Temperatures up towards 42 degrees for Longreach, very warm out there, and warm temperatures also extending down into central parts of southern Queensland outside of Charleville and Roma. Daytime maximum up towards 40 degrees there, and up to about 36 into the north central parts of New South Wales. Warm across South Australia, warm across the Northern Territory, and very warm across parts of WA as well, with very warm temperatures expected to materialise on both Wednesday and Thursday. Marble Bar running for a top of 45 on Wednesday and then 46 on Thursday, I believe, or they backed it down to 45. But outside of Port Hedland and 80 Mile Beach, daytime maximum up towards 46 or 47 degrees basically expected now on Thursday. It is going to be a very warm one indeed, a very warm week just in general expected across parts of WA, the Northern Territory, Queensland and parts of New South Wales. Anyways, that is all that I have time for in today's forecast update. I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you have, please consider leaving a like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, and I could not run this show without them, so again, their support is much appreciated. And any questions or comments on the Queensland situation especially, then please do leave them in the comment section down below as well. But that is all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.